Welcome to episode 6 of A1TV, Mark's show. And today's guest is it's an important subject, and it's a subject that's pretty hard to deal with, but it's a subject that I thought I'd bring to the table, and that of child abuse. In our show today, episode 6, I've got Natasha. And Natasha's going to tell a bit of a story. We're going to explore a few things about childhood, a different aspect of childhood, and that one is a very interesting one and a really touchy one. So welcome, Natasha. Welcome to A1TV, episode 6 of the Mark Show. I want to start off by saying I know you through a friend of ours, or your fiance, soon-to-be husband. Yes. He's very proud of you, and which is a great thing. I also know a bit about your history and a bit about your background. That's what we want to go to today. So your childhood was rough, and it really was something that a lot of children go through is child abuse. How did you get through your early years to come out to be a person today? Well, start off, how did the childhood go? How did your upbringing go?
It was pretty tough. I think I've dealt with pretty much everything that comes under the banner of child abuse. So, and my childhood was full of all that. There were some times that we were taken out and put into a group home, and we did that on 5 occasions when things got really bad. I think for me, dealing with and what got me through it was I was constantly told that I was a mistake and I was unworthy. So I really believed it. So I was a really shy, insecure person who just wanted to hide myself away from everybody. And I really believed, and I tell myself that I didn't matter because that's what I was constantly told all the time. So I just thought everybody, and there was a lot worse off in the world out there. And also because I was a mistake, so I was the mistake of an affair, and I was told constantly that I was that mistake. So I used to reimagine my dad quite a lot. So I used to think that if I ever met him, I wanted him to be proud of me, and I wanted him to. So I always tried to do right, and but I always believed I was worthless and no good. And that's pretty tough for anybody to deal with. And when you're told that constant message, I believed absolutely all of it. And I really believed I was no good.
I do some work with children myself and teenagers and things like that, and come across adults who even have, issues around self-esteem and, all those sort of things. And for me to discuss it is a really important thing because everybody faces some sort of like adversity as children. They just don't know it because it's subconsciously. To be felt you weren't loved or you weren't valued. What was the fallout from that as far as a person goes? What did you find was a fallout?
I believed I was completely unworthy of love. So I have made many mistakes over the years because I couldn't understand myself. I didn't understand or know anything about love or emotional connections or anything like that. So what a lot of people probably might take for granted, I had no idea about. When I've actually got a report from welfare from my childhood that says I had no emotional connection with my mother at the age of 6. So how do you grow and how do you learn about love when you really don't know what it is as a little person? So as an adult, I've still got issues. You can't go through what I've gone through without having any. And I am really lucky that I do have a stubborn partner now who does stick by me and won't go anywhere. So he helps me when times are tough, and there is tough times. So I just have to deal with the best way that I can. As a survivor now, I just keep talking to myself, and I have to do a lot of self-positive talk because the negatives come in a lot. So it is really hard.
Is it a full-time management? Because it's really interesting because, again, the management of ourselves and what we say and what we do is it's a checking system. So are you constantly, again, being around positive people really helps, for me, absolutely. But is it a constant check-up for you that you're constantly reminding you about your value and how valuable you are as a person to yourself and to other people? Is that a constant, like a car gets serviced? Do you constantly manage yourself?
I have to. I catch myself quite a lot still telling myself I'm unworthy and I'm a mistake and I'm no good, but I have to be really aggressive to myself. And I'm lucky that I've learnt those skills over the years and I tell myself and I tell other people that I'm so good because I have to do that. And probably I tell other people that that's when I'm at my lowest and I need that reassurance and I need to keep telling myself because otherwise I would just have that belief and it's too easy to go back to being a victim, and I can't do that.
Good segue, that, Natasha, because the question next is, I suppose, from victim to survivor, how have you done that? How have you gone, because a person who's criticised, not valued as a child, if they don't do work, come into teenage and adult years, they're going to still be the victim. So how have you gone from victim to survivor?
Well, that's an interesting one, because the hardest part, I think, was accepting that I was the victim, because you grow up with what we grow up with and you don't understand and you don't know. So that was the hardest thing. But the crux of it was, I was at a party at my cousin's place many years ago, and she put some drunken photos up on Facebook, and there was a comment from a family member saying that we all need to grow up, especially that stupid blonde bimbo on the end, which happened to be me. So that was the crux of years and years and years of verbal and emotional abuse that set me off. And I went outside and bawled my eyes out and sent a horrible message saying I blamed that person for everything and it was all her fault. So then on, I went to see a GP who referred me to a mental health nurse. And she was the first person ever to listen to my story. And I'd been having counselling and things over the years, but nobody ever asked me about my upbringing or my past. So this mental health nurse was the first person. And her words to me was just amazing and what I needed to hear at the time. And she said she hears a lot of stories and mine's one of the worst that she's ever heard. So having that acknowledgement from one person allowed me to start getting the help that I actually needed. And first I had to accept that I was a victim of a horrible upbringing and child abuse. And for me, that took a few weeks to actually acknowledge that and accept that. And it was pretty tough, but it's something I needed to hear, because then I started seeing the trauma psychologist and started working with him and working on myself to become that survivor and admitting and knowing that what happened to me wasn't my fault, which is, you have all that blame and shame for a long time.
How long ago did you come to the realisation that, you started that you went to see a GP, trauma counsellor? How long ago has the process been from when you first acknowledged that you had an issue till when you started the work with the counsellor?
It was probably only about 8 years ago. So it's still only new and it's still something I'm still learning every day because I have to. But
trigger points and people pushing your buttons sort of thing, Tash.
Absolutely. So I love a challenge now.
That's good. You take it, embrace it. Now, Tash, you're a mum, which is an amazing thing. And I'm unfortunately not a dad, but anybody who has kids does an amazing job. And on our last show, we had Sonia and Sasha talking about the children's program they do around schools and universities. So it's a really great segue to have you on. You going from your childhood, going through trauma, education, and obviously therapy, to being a mum. Were you prepared to be a mum, and how's that transition you into motherhood with your own daughter?
Oh, I don't think any parent can be prepared to be a parent. It's the toughest job out there. But for me, it was really hard because I didn't have a mother figure or guidance on how to be a mum. So that really stressed me out. So I've probably been very overprotective with my child. It was my job to make sure that she was safe and to make sure what happened to me didn't happen to her. So I just wanted to put her in a little bubble and just keep her safe, I think. So for me, I just tried to do the opposite of how I was brought up. So she probably is a little bit spoiled, and I took her to New Zealand for her 18th birthday on a 2-week cruise. So, but we've got a really, really good relationship, and I try to encourage her and try to push her to be the best person that she can be, and that she should stand up for herself. And if bad things happen, you don't sweep it under the carpet, and you've really got to stand up. So I think that's really important for her to learn, because I want her to tell me anything. And she's, over the years since she was little, I'm her best friend and her number one supporter, and we've got that really good relationship that she can talk to me about anything. So
your own story, because everybody's got a story, right? We've got a story, you've got a story, other person's got a story. How do you use your story to help other people?
Yeah, for me, that's a really big part of who I am today. So I will put my hand up for every opportunity. Hence why I'm here talking to you today, Mark. So
I'm happy about that.
So I am what's called a human book. So as part of the Hobart Human Library, which is run by A Fairer World down here in Tasmania, it's what's called, so the human library goes to businesses or to schools. So we run a little workshop and we have books, human people telling their stories to kids or to businesses. And it's our stories about being discriminated against. I love doing that. So it's a real strict time frame. So, but we go to normally grade 7s in schools and also to many businesses around the state of Tassie. So I absolutely love doing that. So, so we have storytelling time and then we have question time from our readers, whether people. And I also do documentaries. So I have participated in 2 documentaries that have been finalised and my 3rd, which will hopefully be out later this year. So every opportunity that comes up, I'm certainly there to put my hand up just to help get my message out there because I think it's an important one that people need to understand.
How do you go about now self-promotion? Because self-esteem is a big thing, and you know we know people who haven't got any self-esteem or ego or that sort of thing. They lack the courage to go out and promote themselves, Natasha. But you have no issue with that now. How's it going? How's the word of Natasha, the Natasha book, so to speak? How is that getting out there in the public in Tasmania?
Yeah, I think that's something that I did quite a bit when it first came out. Like it was being sold in the local pubs and all the rest of that kind of thing. But now it's more just on Facebook. Or when I do talk in the businesses, I will have copies of my book and I'll certainly hand out a bookmark every time I speak. And I just let people know where they can get it. So that's pretty much what I do now. And every opportunity, like I said, always available for a chat or for a talk or anything else like that. So I did do a talk about 18 months ago to 750. So I spoke to a whole school. So for
How'd that go? How the hell was that?
Oh, that was insane. So for somebody really shy and insecure, that was what am I doing here? But because I'm a survivor now and I believe in myself, so I know I can do anything. So if I can speak in front of 750, then I can do anything.
You know what? That fiance of yours, JWP Promotions, he should be putting you on your books and promoting you as a person because your story is quite inspirational. And I really believe that, you know, any self-help, child abuse, education for schools anywhere is really important because people who have been through similar things to you would want to hear your story. And I think that we should talk about another time about how to promote your story better or engage more people to hear about your story because, you know, it is a great story about surviving, thriving and moving forward as a person. Which really comes to my next question, Tash. Yep. And I've written it down here, and you supplied it too. Who is Natasha now? Who am I looking at? Who am I speaking to right now, Natasha? Who's that?
Well, I think that's a question that you might get different answers from depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
But for me in particular, I am still a shy, insecure person. I don't like to be the centre of attention. I don't like it at all. I am quite sensitive and quite emotional. I do cry. I do have a lot of self-doubt, but I'm also do believe in who I am and what I do. And I know that telling my story is massive and is important. And I do love telling my story and I love to help other people. So that's what I do. I do believe in me and I do a lot of self-talk and just keep trying and just taking the steps forward because I am very happy now and I know that I deserve the best and that's why I'm marrying who I am later this year and because he's the best. So
yeah. Tash, you know, the thing is that also it's really, you know, if you look at the positives, we always look at the negative of our personality, right? We always sort of say, this is what we're not good at. It's hard to say what we're good at because that people, oh, you're a big head or whatever, right? But empathy is a really good trait to have. It's compassion, empathy is a really good thing. And I think one thing about you, because I know you, right, is the fact that empathy, we should look at it as a positive because to have empathy for other people, other situations is really a strength of character because it enables you to be able to speak and talk and communicate. Even though we're shy, it enables you to do that because that's the beauty of empathetic people. So I think that really is a positive. Is there anything you would say to others that have been through child abuse that you would say how they would deal with it, what you would do, or have you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, and I'm guessing probably a lot of other people who have been abused, is to have the shame and embarrassment, but it's not our fault. It took me a long time to understand that what happened to me as a little girl wasn't my fault and I wasn't responsible for anything. So neither is anybody else. Unfortunately, we can't help where we come from, but just believe in who you are as a person. And if you believe in yourself, you can do anything, absolutely anything. You just got to have that self-belief. And if you're really struggling, just reach out to somebody, reach out to just anybody, just one person, and they'll be enough to help you.
When you go and do your talks, do you have people coming to you after the sessions and talking to you about it? Do you see people approaching you, or do you ever have that happen?
I have had that happen. When I do my talks, it is in a strict environment, so it's probably not so much about that coming up afterwards, because it's a workshop. But I have certainly had people contact me. I remember just after my book came out, a young lady was a survivor of, and she messaged me, and after reading my book, she said to me, that she started getting help for herself because before that she didn't believe she was worthy, but she started getting the help after reading my book. So things like that make me believe in what I'm doing, and knowing that I can help people is pretty awesome.
Now, behind you is your book. Just move to the side. Nobody's Child, right? Now, that was done how many years ago?
5 years ago it was first published.
5 years ago. Where can people get that or see that anywhere?
Yes, so it is in Tasmanian bookshops.
Yeah.
Or online.
Yeah, okay.
Or from me directly.
Yeah, okay. So if someone wants to get in contact with you, can I email you?
They can email me.
Yeah, okay. What's your email?
Yes. Natasha Fay, Natasha Fay,
yeah.
73
yeah.
@gmail.com.
So I suppose that, and the book covers all aspects of your childhood, the issues you faced, the maintenance, the whole story. Is that what the story's about in the book?
Yeah, so the book's got no fluffiness in it. So there's no, yes, we had some happy moments, but it wasn't about the happy times. It was more about things that happened. So in the very first chapter, it has details, specific details about what happened to me as a little girl. And probably the worst of what happened to me is in the first chapter. And then the middle of it, it's got, does have welfare reports because I went to Freedom of Information to get more information on my upbringing that I didn't know about. It's also got police reports from when I tried to prosecute. So it's just got all that background as well, and the evidence of things that happened and which were pretty disgusting reading that information. But I felt that it needed to be there because there was so much abuse that happened to us. And I thought if I read this book, I would think what a load of rubbish. And that's why I had to write it the way I wrote it, and why it is like it is. So
you must feel pretty like it's brave. Do you feel brave as a person to be able to come out, face your demons or face the issue? And I suppose, did I ask you before, what made you do that? What was the catalyst to make you come out and go, I need to face the demons? What was that?
The main thing was, for me, I needed people to understand who I was. I'm a passionate person. I'm not very good in groups. I'm very shy. I'm not very good with communication. So I needed people to understand why. And that's why I wrote it, kind of to help me and to get that message out there about this is who I am and there's reasons why I am who I am, and also to try and help other people. So, which I'm doing.
You are. Now, has anybody ever said to you, and you ever thought about being a trauma counsellor, like some sort of counsel where, I know with your talks you do help people and that's something, but I truly believe in society, this is my belief, that there's a lot of people who are struggling out there that aren't saying anything. They're being very quiet about what they do and they won't come out. do you think that there's room for you being a trauma counsellor, or are you happy to go on a way that, or do the way you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, when I went back to study a few years ago, I did that to become a support worker for abused kids. But then I realised that I thought it would be a bit too difficult for myself. And I don't want to counsel people, because when I first went, nobody was asked me anything. So, and I'm not allowed to talk about my upbringing or what my experiences have been. So I don't want that. If somebody asks me a question, I want to be able to tell them that I understand, because I've been through it, I've lived it. So, and as a counsellor, you can't do that. So I'd prefer just to go along. If anybody needs me, I'm always going to be there. If anybody wants to know something, I'm always going to be there, and I'll be that person that understands and that knows what it's like to go through that and to survive it, because I am a survivor.
One last question, Tash. So dealing with other people, so you can see, say we call them bad people, or people that you can see them from a million miles away. Or you can see a person that you don't resonate with, because, you know, every personality is not different. So do you go into a self-management situation when you're in situations that aren't comfortable, or when you're not comfortable? What's your cat's name?
Lolly.
Lolly. Yeah, there. See, a human person with a cat. I love it. So you've got a maintenance program that you go through internally to check in with yourself every day, every moment?
Yeah, I have to. So if I come across somebody that the radar, I just really avoid that person and won't have anything to do with them. And because I have to protect myself. Recently, I've found some more information out about my childhood, which I had a really bad episode last weekend, and that was really disgusting, finding that out. But I've dealt with that, and that wasn't even seeing somebody, that was reading something. So just checking in all the time and just telling myself that I deserve it and I am okay. And
for one last time, you are okay too, by the way. For one last time, what's that email address again?
Natasha Fay, NATASHA FAY 73@gmail.com.
So if I encourage anybody that's going through any issues whatsoever, that didn't have any childhood upbringing issues, that this story is a wonderful story of courage, bravery, facing adversity, to come out and tell their story about something which is a subject which is very difficult to engage with. Natasha, thanks for joining me on episode 6 of A1TV, Mark's show, the Mark Show.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much, and we will talk again soon.
Fantastic. Look forward to it.